Je vous présente Olga, elle fera la préparation des compétitions avec nous.
Pourquoi t'es ici? À ma mère, à cause de son travail. Вообще-то я волновалась, тебе писала, звонила. Ты мне не отвечала, я очень сильно переживала.
C'est une irresponsable.
Elle fait son travail.
T'es pas prête pour le Jaeger? Tu vas te faire mal au dos.
Мне нужно делать егерь. Отвали уже, достал.
Pardon?
Алло! Ты где?
Оленька, я на Майдане сейчас, я не могу говорить.
Мам, возвращайся домой, слышишь?
Tu as des nouvelles de chez toi? Voilà, ça c'est très bien. Tu veux qu'on en parle?
Non.
Voilà. Ok, super. Voilà, ça c'est un joli Jaeger.
Что случилось? Смотри, мама. Что, мама?
Ти не знаєш, як тут. Ти жартує волю.
Мы здесь спортом занимаемся, а не политикой.
Ты знаешь, что я тоже хочу быть с вами.
Tu penses vraiment que c'est la meilleure solution pour aider ton pays?
Hi everyone, Simon Foster here from the Screen Watching Podcast. Olga is the story of a 15-year-old Ukrainian gymnast played by the extraordinary Anastasia Budiashkina, whose ambitions for athletic glory are thwarted by the biggest social uprising in her nation's history, the 2014 Maidan Revolution. This remarkable film is the feature debut of Swiss director Elie Grappe, who joins us on Screen Watching all the way from Switzerland. Welcome, mate. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Mate, of course, the question on everyone's lips is, when did you decide it was easier to teach a gymnast to be an actor than an actor to be a gymnast?
Actually, it's easier. It was easier because not only for all the performances they have to give in terms of sports, but also I would say about the experience they have as athletes. For example, to live far away from their parents in sports centers, to be exposed like this in front of thousands of people during championships. All of this I didn't have to build artificially with them by working with real athletes. Also, it was very great to have people to work with during writing before that they become the actress. That they were present during the development of the project. It was very obvious for me.
And in finding Anastasia to play this part, what sort of a challenge was that to find that athlete that could pull off some very powerful emotional scenes?
Actually, it was not so much a challenge because I had to, with humility, go to centers and see who was there. And so I just went and she was there. So I didn't found her really. I just went in the Olympic Center in Ukraine. I did the same in Switzerland, and this is the way I could choose the people to work with and propose to them. I also saw a lot of championships in Switzerland and in Ukraine in order to try to meet the gymnasts who are going to be interested and corresponding to the characters, right?
All that time in sporting venues and with the athletes, that clearly rubbed off on how you shot the sport as well, because there's an energy and there's an intensity in the gymnast routine that you capture very authentically. Tell me about working with your DOP, Lucy Bodner, I think, to capture to capture the athlete's reality.
I'm actually happy that you name Lucy Bodino because most of the time in France, for example, the press have really no appreciation of the team, of the fact that it's a collective work.
Oh, sure.
And I appreciate a lot that we can talk about the work we have together with Lucy, because it's very a shared project in this way. Lucy and I, we first thought that that it had to be the experience of the gymnast. It's not about counting the points. It's not about counting is she doing this right or wrong. It's about feeling what's the experience of being a gymnast with her, and not be a gaze above someone, but a gaze with the experience of someone. So we had to correspond to this research of lightness, or sometimes the vertigo that she has, and we had to build all of this around this. After the way we shot, because they are also professional athletes, had to be a bit a question, how we manage shooting with such a sportsman. And mostly it was about shooting many takes without stop, so that the body can stay warm and that they could go back and back and back into action. And it was actually less difficult for them than to stop every time, you say action and you say coupe, and each time for them it's like a cut of energy that wasn't great. So so very fast we knew that we had to shoot for long takes where the action is repeated and repeated. And that's one part of the image process of the movie, and the other part is of course the images of the Maidan Revolution, which we had to think with Lucy Bodino as an echo somewhere, even if they are real archives.
It's I want to talk about briefly. I'm going to come back to the point about the archival footage and the use of YouTube. There's a complexity in this film with regard to two key themes for me: isolation and identity, which is why, for me, the film works so well as a coming of age story. This isolation and identity are absolutely central to any teenage girl's life, and the film, it plays against a very big canvas, which has been the focus of a lot of the press coverage. But Olga is also this very intimate character study of this teenage girl trying to find her own person, which is, I think, was why I responded to the film so strongly. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, actually, the film is about exile. It's about someone who is arriving in a place that she thinks she has no real place, where she doesn't belong. And how you deal with this when you know that you can't stay where you were, and so it's about exile. So we had to also film this experience of exile. We had to also film those moments of intimacy by Skype with her relatives, etc. Because the relationship of Olga to Ukraine is nothing of patriotism, or there is not anything of that. But for me, the attachment she has to the country is based on the relationship she has with her relative, like her mom, her friend, and also the city itself, the streets, etc. So we had to build some kind of intimacy with the between her and the images that she's watching somehow.
It's beautifully done, and you also speak, I guess, with the young person's voice in your use of phone framing, using the horizontal screen, using the YouTube footage. So this will seem very contemporary and very relevant to a young audience, I hope, anyway.
I have the feeling that that's during Maidan, which is not now. No, it's not new. It was 10 years ago. But actually, it was one of the first revolutions which were completely on possibly accessible on the phone, because there was a lot of application. It was filmed in direct. So, and with the Printemps Arabe, the Arab Springs, which was just before the Euromaidan, it was the first events like this which was completely accessible on broadcast. Sorry about my English. It's not perfect at all.
It's perfect. I'm an Australian. We barely speak English. Don't worry about it.
but there is this thing with the image that I think it's a very contemporary condition of today. That it's a floating world. It's an in-between world, because we are so much attached to those images. They are giving the feeling that we are following an event in direct time, but actually it's not reality. And what was interesting me was that those images in the film, they are not here to show how much we feel how it would be to be here, but to show how much we are not in Ukraine during the revolution, and how distant it is from an experience of reality. So the experience of gymnastics had to feel very real, very realistic, but we had also to accept that those archives of the revolution, they have an enormous phantasmagoric dimension. And they are the strangest images of the movie. And it's a way to tell. Of course we had to talk about the context, and we had to contextualize those images, but we had also to accept that they are representing something which is not an experience, a real experience from the gaze of Olga, because they are only images, they are only pixels, colors, and it shows how much she's not where she had to. So,
which is exemplified nowhere more graphically. And this is a small spoiler, but I don't want to give too much away, in that when she finally gets through to her mother after the mother's been attacked, the pixelation of the injuries and all that sort of stuff is just heartbreaking, and so close to being reality for Olga, but not reality at all. So I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and this thing had to be mixed between little by little in the movie. We know how the revolution interferes with her life in Switzerland. And so, for example, the sound of the revolution is actually close to the sound of gymnastics. It's full of metal bars, it's full of detonations. So it's as if after the first images of Maidan, she cannot come back to the training without to still have in her ears, going on by the training itself, the sound of revolution. So it had to be a way to cross the motifs together. It's not only about bodies, fighting bodies. It's also every part of the film could be a point of this trouble. Quoi.
The strength of will of the Ukrainian people is central to the story. At what point in the production did Putin's invasion occur, and did it change how you approached your portrayal of the country and its population?
The movie was actually finished since a long time at the invasion. It premiered in Cannes in 2021 in Semaine de la Critique, and so we finished that year actually in 21 the movie. And after, of course, during the invasion, a lot of people from the team was in Ukraine and in different places in Ukraine. So we had to keep up with the team as much as possible. And Anastasia, for example, came from Ukraine to Switzerland, where she's living now.
Oh, wow.
She came in March 22, in the end of March last year. And she's now speaking fluent French and doing a lot of work based on her experience. She's a coach for a circus. She's coaching also some gymnasts in a small town here. So it was it was also a way to try to make and maybe I can say that to your audience also, that it's a way. Every time I present the movie, since it's a way to invite people to keep helping Ukraine as much as they can, because a lot of associations and Red Cross and many actually associations are very active in Ukraine right now, and it's still time to give money, to give as much as we can individually, and also make our best that our governments are still aware of the situation and involved.
there's a scene towards the end of the film where you just sort of panel dolly, I think, across the beautiful blue skies of Kyiv and the children, the two little girls running, and I'm just thinking, what this beautiful city and the images are suddenly very heartbreaking. So it's a beautiful testament to a beautiful city and country and people. So congratulations on that. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I do want to raise this point. In a film shot in a very realistic style, which I guess maybe goes back to your early documentary days, you drop in a dream sequence moment that I must admit just blew me away. I was sitting watching you on the compartment and I sat up in my chair and I'm going, what's happening here? Without spoiling it, I guess, or spoil it and people close your eyes and close your ears. Can you give it some context? What was the inspiration for that? Because it's one of the most striking images I've seen in cinema for a long time.
Oh, it's very nice to hear. Actually, it's based on the question of before, on how we crossed those universe between what's going on there that you're not present, that you only have some little particles of the situation, and your reality in Switzerland, which looks like a huis clos. And how far can we go by crossing those experiences? And I think sometimes you can feel blocked when you have a very naturalistic story, a very naturalistic dramaturgy, by doing cinema, which by essence is not about realism. It's an art which is not about representing it's not about showing reality. It's about representing it.
Sure.
So you can go as far as it still makes sense. And this dream sequence seemed to me that we could do that. We could do that to show what's inside Olga, how she feels. And after this, the dream has some consequence in her reality.
Sure.
If you remember, after it has a very concrete impact on her body, and it was a way to just try for me as a filmmaker to know how far we can go with the crossing of motifs.
Mate, you've been traveling with this film for a long time now, and thank you so much for talking to Australian journalists this late in its release cycle. But we're so excited to have it down here in Australia. What has been most pleasing about how audiences have reacted to Olga's story? Why do you think her struggle and this story is resonating with audiences worldwide?
I wouldn't say. I don't know the people worldwide, but I don't know them personally. But I had first the feeling that there were very important moments when we showed the movie in Ukraine, for example, when we showed it in Odessa in 21, and then just before the beginning of invasion, it was shown in Kiev, in the organization which is wishing to become a museum of Euromaidan, and it was full of veterans from the war since 14, and from people who did the revolution. And it was very important for me to know that the film was accepted by this audience, was validated by this audience, and the people were very moved, and it was a very, very wonderful moment to have the feeling that we did something not completely out of the way for people from Ukraine. And I worked with so many Ukrainian people that it was moving to have this moment around this project. After the film was shown in many places, and each time it's very the meetings are very intense, and everybody wants to stay and talk, and so the discussions are sometimes long and so great. It makes me very I'm full of hope for the experience of cinema and what it is to show pictures in big screen, and to be here and to have a chat after. I think we realize there how much the collective experience of cinema is still really breathing and still alive. Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. Amen to those thoughts. I do what I do so I can be surprised, engaged, made emotional by films like Olga. So when they come along, I'm very excited. And I was very keen to talk to you because of that. So on May 3, we'll be having national screenings of Olga down here in Australia. A big chunk of the takings from those screenings are going to the UN Women Australia, who support women and girls in the Ukraine. I'll put all details on the locations and in the links below on the YouTube here. So, mate, thank you so much for talking to me. Stay safe, stay well, and congratulations again.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you.